In the chaos of an emergency ward, paramedics storm through the doors with a woman on a stretcher. Her throat has been shredded, her clothes soaked in blood, and doctors whisper about a wild animal attack. Before they can stabilize her, contractions begin. The team has no choice. They cut her open, and moments later, a baby boy gasps his first breath, while his mother slips into the void.
Years pass. In another part of the city, a young couple follows directions to a secret party. Instead of a nightclub, they are led into a refrigerated warehouse lined with hanging carcasses. A guard blocks the next door until the young woman suddenly kisses her date with feral intensity. The passage opens, revealing a dance hall pounding with bass, neon slicing through the crowd. The boy quickly loses sight of his partner. A dancer shoves him, faces twist with sharp eyes, and then a drop of liquid splashes onto his hand. Dark red. The sprinklers roar to life. Blood rains down, soaking the crowd. They cheer, arms raised, reveling in the crimson storm. The boy stumbles in terror, slipping on the sticky floor, trying to crawl to the exit. He collides with a heavy boot, looks up, and sees a dark figure. Blade. The music dies, tension crackles, and then slaughter begins. Shotgun blasts tear through bodies, submachine guns rattle, wooden stakes pierce hearts. Blade moves like death incarnate, slicing down vampires with his sword. The leader is pinned to the wall by silver stakes and set ablaze. When police arrive, the club is carnage. A burning corpse smolders. A single traumatized human trembles on the floor, and Blade is gone. The charred body is delivered to the morgue. Doctors begin an autopsy, poking at tissue. The cadaver spasms, sits upright, and attacks, ripping an orderly's throat, then lunging for a female doctor. She tries to flee, but his fangs tear into her neck. Suddenly, Blade storms in, severing the monster's arm in one strike. The creature hurls itself out a window into the night. Blade turns toward the bitten doctor, weapon raised to end her suffering. But a memory crashes through him. His mother, the woman who died giving birth. He lowers the gun. Instead of killing her, he scoops her up and escapes, pursued by police bullets. He carries the doctor, Karen Johnson, into a hidden safe house where his mentor, Abraham Whistler, waits. The old hunter inspects her wound and warns she will soon turn. Blade cannot bring himself to kill her. Whistler notices her name and prepares a brutal injection, garlic extract. It burns through her veins, leaving her writhing in agony, but buying precious time. Far away, the Council of Vampire Elders convenes. They whisper of the bloodbath, name Blade the culprit, and summon Deacon Frost. Young, ambitious, turned by bite rather than born, Frost is scolded for attracting attention. Vampires, the Elders insist, must stay hidden. But Frost defies them. He dreams of conquest, a world where vampires rule openly, humanity enslaved or consumed. He storms out, vowing that change is coming. At the safe house, Blade reloads supplies, silver bullets, garlic vials, and his serum, painful injections that keep his hunger at bay. Karen wakes, still human, and explores. She touches Blade's sword. Hidden spikes spring out, nearly impaling her. Whistler studies her notes, realizing she is intelligent, maybe even useful. She overhears Blade inject himself with a stronger dose, his body trembling under the pain. Eventually they reveal everything. They travel city to city, burning vampire nests. Karen resists, but the memory of a corpse refusing to die forces her to believe. Whistler shows her their arsenal, silver, garlic, and a new ultraviolet spotlight capable of reducing vampires to ash. He arms her with a small garlic spray. Before she leaves, he offers grim advice. If the hunger takes you, better to choose death than become a monster. Later, Blade escorts her home. In the elevator, she notices strangers with identical tattoos on their necks. Two follow her into the hallway, then vanish. She barely has time to breathe before a knock comes. A policeman waits, but something is wrong. His voice cold, his eyes threatening. She sprays garlic into his face. Nothing happens. Blade steps in, explains. This is not a vampire, but a familiar, a human servant marked by Frost, promised transformation one day. They search his car and find coolers full of blood. The man breaks free and flees. Karen realizes she cannot return to her old life and chooses to stay with Blade. They track the familiar to another hidden club. This one is quieter, with eerie music and guests seated around tables. Blade arms Karen with silver rounds and storms inside. He slams the familiar through furniture, demanding answers. Another freezer hides the entrance. They descend by elevator into vampire archives. There they find Pearl, a grotesquely obese archivist fused to his chair, skin spilling over consoles. On screen, he is explaining a decoded ritual to Frost. When Pearl sees Blade, terror rips through him. He screams into the camera, but Frost coldly cuts the feed. Die with dignity. Blade activates the ultraviolet spotlight, burning Pearl's flesh. The archivist confesses. Frost plans to awaken the blood god Lamagra, requiring 12 purebloods and something else he has not revealed. Blade takes a data disk, orders Karen to keep the lamp on Pearl, and moves deeper. In the vault, Blade discovers scrolls. A girl appears, then attacks, kicking him into glass. Vampires pour in. Quinn arrives, grinning, his hand regrown. A chain wraps Blade's neck. Karen is seized. One vampire dares to grab the sword. The defense mechanism severs his hand. Quinn laughs and drives silver stakes into Blade's shoulders. But Whistler is listening through Blade's earpiece. Moments later, he storms the building, limping but deadly, mowing down guards. The chaos lets Blade and Karen escape. They flee into subway tunnels as Whistler throws explosives. The detonation rips through the chamber. On the tracks, trains roar past. Vampires chase. One by one, they fall. Quinn loses another hand before smashing skull first into a speeding train. Blade and Karen cling to the last car, vanishing into the night. At the hideout, Blade injects his serum. Karen asks who he is. Whistler explains. He met Blade at 13, feeding on vagrants. He almost killed him until he realized the truth. Blade's mother had been bitten while pregnant. She died giving birth, and the attack altered her child. The result? A half-breed. He has vampire strength and speed, but walks in daylight and resists silver. His curse is thirst. The serum no longer lasts. Whistler confesses his own pain, his family slaughtered by a vampire guest. He swore vengeance. Now, signs point to Frost. Meanwhile, Frost consolidates power. At dawn, he drags Elder Gitano to a beach. He rips out the old vampire's fangs with pliers, forces him to face the sun. The first rays ignite him, his body bursting into ash. Frost holds his lover's hand, watching like a coronation. At the council, he lays the fangs on the table and claims leadership. He demands 12 volunteers for the ritual. Back at the hideout, Karen tests a new compound. Vampire blood boils on contact, exploding under her microscope. In drawing Blade's blood, she discovers Whistler is dying of cancer. His time is short. She checks her wound. It heals strangely. Whistler warns she looks pale. If the infection takes hold, she has a day or two. She begs not to be buried too soon. Blade leaves to resupply and encounters Frost on the street, in daylight. Frost's skin is slathered in sunscreen. He drags a little girl hostage, mocking humans as cattle, vampires as rulers. Blade calls him a pretender. With a smirk, Frost shoves the girl into traffic and vanishes. Blade saves her at the last instant. Back at the hideout, vampires strike. Despite fighting back, Karen is captured. Blade returns to find the place wrecked. Whistler lies bleeding, bitten. He gasps the truth. Frost plans to awaken Lamagra, and Blade is the key. That is why they need him alive. He begs Blade to end his suffering before the infection takes him. Blade resists, then finally places a pistol in his mentor's hand and walks away. A shot echoes. Soon after, Frost sends a taunting video message, inviting Blade to Edgewood Tower. Karen, now his prisoner, faces the vampire leader. He offers her transformation or death. She calls him tainted, not true evolution. His mask cracks. He rants about La Magra and the coming apocalypse. Blade storms the tower, alarms blare, guards attack. But he carves through them with silver bullets, stakes, and Karen's new serum. Vampires burst into clouds of red mist. He reaches a bright chamber where a bed slides into view. On it, his mother, alive. She smiles, revealing Frost turned her that night long ago. Blade falters. Vampires attack with electric batons. He collapses under the assault, chained and dragged away. Karen and Blade are transported to an underground temple. She whispers that she may have a cure, but it would strip him of his powers. In the cavern, vampire elders are arranged in a circle. Blade is shackled into a device that drains his blood into channels carved into the stone. His mother closes the chamber, calling him Eric, begging forgiveness, before admitting she surrendered long ago. The ritual begins. Blood flows through the carvings, connecting each elder. Dark energy sparks. Karen forces the chamber open. Blade collapses, weak and pale. She makes a desperate choice. She offers her throat. He refuses, then accepts. His fangs pierce her neck. Power surges through him. Above, drops of blood strike the elders. Frost steps into the circle. Lightning rips the temple. Spirits tear free from the elders and plunge into Frost, transforming him into the vessel of La Magra. Karen fights free, blasting a guard into the abyss. Blade, renewed, ends his mother's cursed life with one strike. The ritual surges, but the Daywalker is reborn in fury. He cuts down Quinn with ruthless precision, reclaims his sunglasses, and tears through vampires like a storm. Karen sprays Frost's lover with garlic extract. Her head explodes in a violent burst. Blade faces Frost. Their swords clash, echoing through the chamber. Blade slices Frost clean in half, but the body rejoins instantly. La Magra's regeneration mocks the steel. Then, Blade remembers the vials. He throws his sword, its hidden mechanism launching syringes into his hand. With blinding speed, he drives them into Frost. The vampire god convulses, skin bubbling, blood boiling. Pressure builds. Frost explodes in a shower of gore and ash. The temple falls silent. Blade and Karen emerge to the rooftop, the city lights burning below. She promises to keep working on a cure. He shakes his head. Peace is not for him. All he needs is more serum to fight another day. In the final scene, snow falls in Moscow. Another vampire lurks in the shadows. Blade steps forward, sword in hand, reminding the world his war is far from over.